If you've ever worked with transparent images in Adobe Photoshop, you're probably familiar with the classic checkerboard pattern that shows up behind parts of your artwork. But did you know you can actually customize the way that transparency grid looks? In this quick tutorial, I'll show you exactly how to change the transparency grid color in Photoshop. By the end, you'll know how to tailor the background to your own preferences, making it easier to see, less distracting, or just a little more you. Let's jump right into it. First, we need to get to the right spot in the settings. The transparency grid is controlled through Photoshop's Preferences menu, and how you get there depends on whether you're on Windows or Mac. If you're working on Windows, look up at the top, click Edit, then go down to Preferences, and from that menu, choose Transparency and Gamut. If you're on a Mac, the path's just a bit different. Click Photoshop in the top bar, then Preferences, followed by Transparency and Gamut. You're looking for that dialog box labeled Transparency and Gamut. That's where all the magic happens. Once you're in there, you'll see a few options for the appearance of the transparency grid. One of the first things you'll notice is the grid size menu. This lets you choose how tiny or large you want those checkerboard squares. For some folks, a smaller grid helps to spot details on semi-transparent edges. For others, a bigger grid just feels less busy and easier on the eyes. I recommend taking a moment to try each grid size out, especially if you regularly work with transparent layers. It really does make a difference in how you see your work. Now for my favorite part, customizing the color scheme. This is especially useful if the default gray and white just isn't working for you, or if you often work on images where the transparency grid blends in too much with your artwork. You have a couple of ways to pick a color scheme. The most straightforward is using a preset. Just click on the Grid Colors drop-down menu and select a preset like light, medium, or dark. These presets change both colors in the grid pattern. For example, the dark preset gives you a deep charcoal alongside a medium gray, a lot easier to spot if your artwork is mostly bright or white. If you want even more control, Photoshop lets you pick custom colors for the grid. Beneath the Grid Colors menu, you'll see two little color chips. These represent the two colors that create the checkerboard effect. Click on either one to pop open the color picker. Here, you can select any color you like. So if you want your grid to be pale blue and soft pink, go for it. This is perfect if your usual canvas colors clash with the default grid and you want something that stands out a bit more or blends in a bit less. Don't forget, you can always hit cancel if you're experimenting and don't quite like the result. Once you have your grid looking the way you want, all you have to do is click OK to apply the changes and close the dialog box. Your new transparency grid colors and size will show up right away whenever you're working with transparent layers or images. Don't worry if it takes some tweaking to get just the right look. You can always come back to these settings and adjust as often as you need. And that's it. Now your working environment in Photoshop is a little more tailored to your style, and you'll have an easier time working with transparent images. If you found this tutorial helpful, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments if you have other questions about customizing Photoshop. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tutorials. I'll see you next time.